Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for BroadwayWorld. Simon McBurney is back on Broadway with his latest endeavor called The Encounter, and I caught up with him just minutes after his opening night curtain rang down. Now I can finally say it. Welcome back to Broadway, my friend. How does it feel?
Terrific. It's amazing. It's a great privilege to play here because it's not everything gets to play here. You know, I'm playing in the middle of the center of American theatrical life. There are many centers. There are things which are, some of the greatest things are off Broadway, or some of the greatest things are in other theaters. But also, there's an astonishing tradition of theater here, and so above everything else, it's an amazing privilege to be here.
It is such a wonderful show. I mean, I just love the way you introduce yourself to the audience. What have you been enjoying the most about American audiences with this show?
That they're absolutely vocal and they tell you what they think. And one of the things that my associate director said when she took her headphones off was, you know, people are chatting all the way through, like, oh God, don't do that. No. Oh no. Why is it? Oh, she's beautiful. And they actually comment on what's going on stage. Now that is not something that happens in England. People are sort of really very, very, you know, they're very much more reserved. It's not to say that, I mean, it was crazy when I did it in England. You know, it totally sold out. Here, what is wonderful, though, is that there is this unbelievable generosity.
Yeah. People get very engrossed here in a very vocal American audiences, but it's great.
It is great. It's really wonderful. But also, it's been a provocation. So, I cut it right down, for example. I've cut it down in another way. I've shaped it specifically for the Broadway experience, you know, because, it's important. You know, there is another version of this show where it might go on for 2.5 hours, but it doesn't. I can assure you, everybody, it's 1 hour and 45.
Oh, I want to see the long version too. We were so engrossed by this.
Really excited to be here. It's a brilliant show to be bringing here and sharing with New York and everybody else.
Okay, this is so amazing for the senses to listen and watch this show. What was it like creating The Encounter with Simon?
It's been a really amazing process because we've been all over the world to create it. Simon and I went to the Amazon rainforest, recording sounds there, hiring Cessna aircraft, going to mosquito colonies, doing all sorts of crazy stuff to try and make the landscape of the show.
So did you plan on what the show was going to be first, or did you record the sound first and sort of put a show around it?
It's been a sort of constant development of trying to find out the language to use to tell this story, and sound is what's emerged from that experiment and research and development.
Right. It's so amazing how it all works. The sound is crystal clear in the Golden Theater. I mean, how did you come up with what you use in this show?
Well, it was one of the really interesting things of trying to find a way to tell this story really intimately, and the headphones give us that real one-to-one connection with Simon on stage, so he can whisper in our ears, and it feels like he's telling it just to you, the one single audience member, rather than to everybody. So it creates this really intimate connection with him.
Gareth and I have worked together for many years, and when I talked to him about the show, I had already decided that I wanted to work with microphones. There's a wonderful theatre artist called Spalding Gray who did that fantastic film by Jonathan Demme called Swimming to Cambodia, and that was inspirational for me because he just sat and told a story at a microphone, and I was always gripped by that. So I had that as an image, and then I started using different microphones. I started altering my voice, and also I had friends, two friends, Christina Seitel, Martina Seitel and Krista Lundell, who are Swedish artists who used this binaural head. That's when I encountered it, and I thought, I'd be fascinated if you can actually see this head on stage and how I might interact with it in another way, and how it might give you a sense that it's not me alone on stage, but me with other people as well. And it does that extraordinarily well. And of course, gradually I built it up with Gareth. He wasn't entirely convinced at the beginning, but then he got more and more excited, and then of course he built the remarkable world with me. We built it together to make what we've made.
I had heart flutter coming over in the taxi, and what shall I say? I mean, I'm not a youngster, but at the same time, there are all sorts of experiences tonight, all sorts of feelings that I have never had yet. And when the people got up at the end and there was a standing ovation for Simon and for the play, That was terrific.
Now, he was obsessed with finding the source of the Amazon. But one of the interesting things is that in so doing, he understood something about the way that he was thinking, and therefore the experience changed him forever. In other words, I think he stopped thinking of himself just as this head and this me. You know, we always feel we're by ourselves, but he understood that he had a relationship with the world around him in another way. Now, the other thing that attracted me, he's a man alone, solitude, lost. So I've never been lost in the Amazon. That's not the point. The point is his sense of being totally at sea was something that I relate to, because in my life, and I think everybody feels lost. And so part of my aim when making this show is to actually plunge the audience into the experience of being lost, losing a point of reference, not literally physically, but also in their minds. And then how do you feel? It asks questions as well as telling a cracking story.
I asked myself, how does one actor, no matter how good, how is one person capable to collect together all the experiences of a whole forest, a whole tribe, all the animals, all the sounds, the drama. I did not know how he was going to do it. I was full of curiosity. We loved the play in Edinburgh. I liked it even better tonight.